So, today we're diving into a really powerful personal story called The Mirror of Morim. It's a striking look at identity, the labels we get stuck with, and that universal feeling of just wanting to be seen for who you really are.
It's kind of wild when you think about it. From pretty much the moment we exist, the world asks us this one big question. It's a demand, really, that sets the stage for everything: how people see us, talk to us, and where we're supposed to fit in.
And there it is. Male or female. That's the choice. We're supposed to pick a box, a single label for this incredibly complex thing we call a life. The expectation is that our entire being is going to fit nice and neat into one of these two words.
But that simple choice just doesn't line up with reality, does it? I love this quote from the source material because it gets right to the heart of it. We aren't just one thing. We're a whole universe of thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
So what happens when that universe doesn't fit? What happens when you're squeezed between these two restrictive labels? Well, the actual person, can kind of get lost in the shuffle. Their truth, their story, just fades into the background. And that's where this story really begins.
Okay, so let's see how this pressure plays out through the personal journey of the author, Prince Morim, and the one label that has shaped so much of his experience.
This is how Morim introduces himself, and notice he immediately brings up the label the world gave him. It's not how he defines himself first, but how he knows the world sees him. It's such a direct and powerful way to start. From Morim's point of view, gay isn't really his identity. It's more like a shortcut people use. Our brains love to categorize, right? It makes things easier. But when you do that to people, you end up erasing their entire story. And this is the part that really stings. The judgment comes before any understanding. All of his experiences, his struggles, his victories. None of that seems to matter as much as which box he can be shoved into. The label always comes first.
So, what's the consequence of all this pressure?
Well, it can force a person to split themselves in two. It leads to what Morim calls living a double life. Just think about the sheer mental exhaustion of this. Every single little thing you do, the way you walk, the way you talk, even the way you just sit there, it all requires a second thought. You're constantly asking, is this safe? How will people see this? It's not about big life choices. It's about the very act of existing, moment to moment.
I mean, this quote just captures that suffocating feeling perfectly. Can you imagine living your life on a stage you never chose, with an audience that's always ready to tear apart your right to just be?
But after sharing all this personal struggle, Morim takes a really important turn. See, this story isn't just for him. It's a message meant to reach out, to connect with others, and to build a sense of solidarity. He's talking directly to anyone who's ever felt lost or confused, or just plain wrong in their own skin. This is for people struggling right now, and maybe even for kids in the future who are going to face this same confusing world.
And he's crystal clear about his goal here. The point of being this vulnerable isn't to try and force understanding from a world that hasn't offered it. That's not what this is about.
And it's not about looking for approval either. It's not a plea for acceptance from the same people who were so quick to judge in the first place.
Instead, the purpose is so much simpler, and honestly, way more powerful. It's about cutting through all that noise, all the judgment, to deliver one single core message. And there it is. That's the heart of the entire piece. It's this profound sense of connection, offered to anyone who's ever felt isolated by a label. Just a simple, powerful reminder that you're part of something and you always have been. So we're left with this question, one that turns the mirror back on all of us. Morim has told his story. But what would happen if we, the world, stops trying to sort everyone into boxes and just learned how to listen to the whole story? What would that world even look like?